Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and this is episode 81. And this is all about WrestleMania. So I'm going to cover WrestleMania Day 1 and WrestleMania Day 2. So stay tuned. So let's start with night 1 of WrestleMania 37. I'm still going to call it WrestleMania 37, even though they've dropped the numbers and it's just called WrestleMania now. But WrestleMania 37, it had a whole pirate theme. And this was the same theme that they were going to use last year. And the whole pandemic happened, and that cost them, that made it so that they couldn't really have that theme because it ended up just being in the Performance Center. And the Performance Center just was, didn't really have much to it. It was, they had a sign there. So it was nice to see them go back to what they weren't able to do. So WrestleMania was in Tampa, and it was held on April 10th and April 11th of 2021. And so the way the stage was constructed was it looked like a huge pirate ship, and then you had the two, the screens underneath it, like the Titantron screens, but the pirate ship lit up, and it was a really cool design. It's probably the most unique design they've done since, I think, WrestleMania 33, when they had the whole roller coaster and everything, and that long, long ramp. Now, the ramp wasn't as long as Orlando, so I think that still is the champion of ramps and how long. But so the show started off with America the Beautiful, and we had Vince McMahon out there and the whole crew, and Vince McMahon thanked everybody, and the show began. Or so we thought. Unfortunately, it was raining, so there was supposedly going to be a huge storm. So for 30 minutes, we were just sitting there watching them cut backstage promos, which were, some were good, some were awful. But it was interesting. So 30 minutes in, we finally get the first match, and it's Drew McIntyre versus Lashley. And they had a nice rock 'em out, drag 'em out brawl. And they, really tried to, they worked hard. They had a nice little match. Unfortunately, I don't think this was the right finish. Lashley wins with the Hurt Lock after Drew tries to get out of it. I thought this was kind of a mistake in how to beat Drew. But yeah, so Drew loses at WrestleMania in the opening match, and I was kind of confused as to why we're doing that. I mean, he got to beat Brock Lesnar last year, but it was in an empty arena. This was supposed to be his big crowning moment. Although I like Lashley and all these things, but I just don't understand, and I've heard this been discussed, why didn't we just put the title on Lashley at WrestleMania? Have Drew not lose it until WrestleMania against Lashley. It would have been a huge moment. It would have been great. You could have gone in with the Hurt Business and a lot of things there. So, I don't know. I didn't really like that decision, but the match was good. Now, the second match was the women's gauntlet match, and this was Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Liv Morgan and Ruby Rose versus Natalya, Tamina versus Carmella and Billie Kay. This was awful. I didn't like it. Liv and Ruby did a good job. Natalya did a good job. Lana and Naomi have no business being there. Dana and Mandy, they're not very good. Carmella and Billie Kay did not want to see it. It was just let's shove as many people as we can. The match ended with Tamina and Natalya picking up the win, so they will face Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler the next night. We'll talk about that. So the next match is Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. They had a nice match really nice little match, and Cesaro wins. He did the record of the most spin, the most what do you call it, the spin thing that he does, and then he did an airplane spin, and then he hit the I forget what his move is called, that pile driver thing, and he pinned Seth clean. So hopefully this leads to Cesaro getting some form of a push. The next match is Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, and this was a steel cage match. Braun gets ambushed. Kind of had to sell a lot for Shane. And then finally, Shane, is cheating and doing everything he can. He tries to climb out of the cage, and Braun grabs him, and then he rips the cage open and throws Shane back in, and throws him off the top of the cage, and then he did the power slam and pinned the running power slam, and Braun won. It was a really cool spot what they did. I don't really want to see Shane getting so much offense, but that's what they do. So that was it. I think then the next match was actually I did this the wrong order. Actually, then the match before Braun and AJ was New Day versus Almost and AJ, and we had Big E who did the big entrance for the New Day. They came down. The whole match was really built around AJ getting the hot tag to Almost, because everyone wanted to see what he could do. And so, in some ways, the New Day turned heel, but because it was like a reverse in logic. But Almost ended up, using his tree slam and pinned one of the New Day and put his foot on him, and so we got Almost and AJ as champion, which everyone thought that was going to happen. No one, I don't think, is surprised. Now, then there was the Braun and Shane match, but I've already recapped that. Let's go into Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison. Bad Bunny had this huge truck-like entrance and everything, and Miz and Morrison had these bunnies all around. It was kind of stupid. Bad Bunny did most of the match. He tried to get the hot tag to Damian Priest, but Bad Bunny is he was the workhorse here, and he ended up picking the win up. And yeah, I gotta say, I'm kind of impressed with what Bad Bunny did. It's not my favorite because I didn't really want to see Bad Bunny beat Miz and Morrison, but that's where they went, and there you have it. Miz and Morrison end up losing to Bad Bunny. But he worked hard. He really did. He worked hard, and you can't take that away from him. He worked hard. It wasn't like he just did some lame matches. He did a Canadian Destroyer on Morrison on the floor. I mean, Bad Bunny won with the flying crossbody. It was pretty good for a match that a lot of people thought was going to be just awful. I gotta give it up to him. I didn't want to see it, but you know what? He did a good job, and I can't take that away from him. Now, the main event of night one is Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. And they had a 17-minute match. I wanted them to have more of like a 30-minute match, but I think they lost some time due to the rain. Sasha came out with a great, entrance. Bianca Belair was almost crying before the bell rang. It showed how important this was to her. They had a great match. I thought this was really good. It was really built around, using the hair, and eventually Bianca Belair rips the hair back from Sasha. They're doing like a tug-of-war thing, and kind of like spanks her, slaps her right across the stomach, and that led to Bianca Belair hitting the KOD for the pinfall. And Bianca Belair is your new women's champion, and they really put her over big. And they should, because she won the Royal Rumble. I said this was the right time to to make her, and they did. They did a good job. I thought this was the best way to do it. The only thing is, I would have liked it a little longer, a little more near falls, but the match was really designed to get over Bianca Belair as a babyface. And she deserves it, and I'm proud of her. And I thought night one was a really good show. I thought this was a really good show. Really, we're off to the races. What a good start. Um, if I got to say my favorite match, probably Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. I like that. That was my favorite thing that was on this show. I thought, they did it right. Sasha, the overconfident heel, losing to Bianca Belair. You've set up a new babyface, and that was perfect the way they did it. And hopefully they can maintain this momentum. So let's get to night two. So, night two. Now, a lot of people were expecting rain, but the rain did not affect this night. We had Ashlyn Kraft. She performed America the Beautiful. I thought she did a much better job than night one. We started the show off with Randy Orton versus The Fiend. And The Fiend, they had this little video of him, walking up as the burnt character. And then he transformed into, the old Fiend. Randy Orton came out first. He was wearing white trunks with red tint. Alexa Bliss came out next, and there was a huge Jack in the Box, and it was funny because the announcers didn't. Alexa, stop. Thank you. See, we can't say her name. It's really frustrating about that. So, I can't say her name. We'll just call her Bliss. Bliss. So Michael Cole. They couldn't figure out that it was a box, a Jack in the Box. They kept calling it like this box-like structure, which everyone was making fun of. Is like, what is a box-like structure? You mean a box? So she, raised the Jack in the Box thing, and then the Fiend's music played, and he came out of the box, and he was, dressed like the old Fiend. He had a new kind of like jacket, black jacket with him, and his mask was different. There was like a longer chin on there. It resembles more of the Joker mask from the comics when the Joker cut his face off and wore his face again on and stapled his face back on. They had an interesting match. The Fiend, no sold a lot of things. And then at one point in the match, Alexa comes out of the box and she's wearing like this crown, and there's this black stuff, this like ash that's coming down her face. People are calling it goo. It doesn't really look like goo. It looks like it's like raining this black stuff, like she's crying or something. And that distracted the Fiend. The Fiend took an RKO, and it was 1, 2, 3, and the Fiend loses to an RKO. Now, we heard from backstage that this was one of the finishes that was changed at the last minute. I thought this was foolish. Why did the Fiend... Okay, so the Fiend got burned alive, only to come back 4 months later and lose to an RKO. Just foolish. I really hate this. A lot of people hated this. I hated it. I thought this was... They made the Fiend look weak. It's dumb. He's your supernatural character. You don't beat him like that, but they just don't get it. They don't get long-term storytelling, and they don't understand it. I don't, Bruce Pritchard, who's the head of creative with Vince, I don't think they get it. I don't think they know what they're doing. But, that's to each its own. So then we had the women's tag championship match. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Tamina and Natalya. They did a 14-minute match. A lot of time for a match. I didn't think they were going to get much time. It's pretty good. It ended with Natalya was putting Nia Jax in the sharpshooter, but Shayna got the choke on her on she dapped like on the Kirifuda clutch and beat. Then the next match was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. This was a 9-minute match. Logan Paul came out. He sat by the commentators, but he didn't do commentary. Kevin Owens wins with the stunner. 1, 2, 3. It was a good match. Good, nice little 9-minute match. I would have liked them to have more. They should have had 14 minutes, not the other girls, but, that's what we do. Logan Paul came out and, was raising Kevin Owens' hand, and Sammy was upset, and Sammy gets pushed down. And Kevin Owens acted like him and Logan Paul were going to shake hands, and then he stunned him. And everybody was happy because nobody liked Logan Paul because he came off like such a jerk. No one liked him. So that was interesting. Then we had Sheamus versus Riddle for the United States Championship. They had a 10-minute match. It was really, stiff, hard-hitting match. At one point, Riddle gets busted in the mouth. It ended with him doing a backflip and Sheamus hitting the bro kick and pinning him. And so we have a new United States champion. I thought this was the wrong finish. Sheamus should lose to Riddle. Riddle is the new guy. You want to establish him as a new guy, but they seem to want to just make him a goof. He was never supposed to get the title. It was supposed to be Keith Lee, but Keith Lee has some personal problems that no one knows, and I don't want to speculate what it is. Hopefully he can come back soon. The next match is the Nigerian drum fight, Apollo Crews versus Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. They had a bunch of drums around the ring, and they had like a bell thing. It looked like the setup for when Sting came out for WrestleMania 31 when they had like this Japanese motif thing, which everyone thought made no sense because Sting has never had anything really to do with Japan or Japanese culture. Wale performed Big E's entrance. That was cool. And then we had Big E, had did the big ending, but then Dabo Kato jumped in, broke up the pen, and it was and he gave Big E like a choke slam type move. It was kind of like a choke slam. I don't know if it was exactly a choke slam. And dragged Cruz onto Big E for the win. So the Nigerian Prince has now won the Intercontinental Championship. So there you go. Then we had the Hall of Fame, which was headlined with Kane. Apparently, Rich Herring got burned. I thought Kane's Hall of Fame speech on Tuesday was really good. He probably kept one of the best speeches, him and RVD. It seemed to come really from the heart, and he deserves it. I forgot to talk about the Hall of Fame. They had that ended with the NWO coming out. It was good, so that was nice to see those. Kane did his pyro, and apparently Rich Herring got hurt. Then we had Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. They had a 13-minute match. It was a good match. Asuka's so good, and it ended with Rhea Ripley hitting the Riptide for the win. Rhea Ripley came out to. They had her band that sings her song. "This is my brutality." I didn't realize that there was only one real lyric in the song. So it was just some singer out there screaming, "This is my brutality," over and over again. And after a while, it got kind of old. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention Titus and Hulk Hogan. They were the hosts. And on night 2, they came out dressed as pirates, which was funny. On night 1, it felt like Titus O'Neil couldn't stand Hulk Hogan. On night 2, they seemed like they liked each other a little bit better. Oh yeah, Eric Bischoff went into the Hall of Fame as well. So Titus and Hulk Hogan came out. And then we had Bayley come out, and everyone thought it was going to be Becky Lynch because that was what we were all teased. And no, we got the Bellas, and they said good ding dong, goodbye, and knocked the mic out of her hand, made Bayley look stupid, and it was so dumb. Bayley's such a good worker, and for her to just look like a subservient person to the Bellas is dumb. If it was going to be Becky, okay, I can buy that. But this was just awful. Awful. Everyone wanted Becky, and we didn't get it. So now it's triple threat match time. It's Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso versus Edge and Daniel Bryan. This is a 21-minute match. They had the longest match, which they should. I wanted it to be a little bit longer, but it's a good match. When Roman finally came out, a lot of people thought like he wasn't going to show up and he was going to pull like he did at SummerSlam and not show up till later on in the match. The build-up video for this was tremendous. One of the best build-up videos they've done. The match kind of began with Jey Uso just pretty much almost like it's a legal handicap match until finally he gets taken out by Edge. They had a really hard-hitting match. I have no idea what that sound is. It's so frustrating sometimes. But what am I going to do? Somebody's going to ride their motorcycle around. That's all I can do. Edge worked hard. Everybody worked hard. They looked good. At one point, Edge had a crossface on Roman. It looked like he was going to tap. Daniel caught his arm. Then he put him in the yes lock, and then they started doing like a headbutt type thing. The match ended with Edge hitting the concerto on Daniel Bryan, and then Jey Uso got involved, and Edge gets speared by Roman, and then Roman did the concerto on Edge, drags Edge onto Daniel Bryan and pins them both. And that was the end of WrestleMania. I thought that was a mistake. A lot of people think that made him look like a champion. I'm getting so tired of Jey Uso interfering in every single match. It's stupid. Do Daniel Bryan and Edge have no friends? It's so dumb, but that's how they book. And apparently Roman is getting slotted for either Brock Lesnar or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Something big's happening there. I think they need to take the title off him so that at SummerSlam he can get the title back. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's really dumb. Oh, yeah, Roman Reigns won it at Night of Champions. So it's just, I don't know. It just seems like they don't know what they're doing. They're just treading water. I thought this was the time to send the fans home happy. So Drew McIntyre loses, and so does Daniel Bryan and Edge. Edge was really cheered here, so they could have put the title on Edge, and it would have gotten a pop. But apparently, it's always been the plan. Roman was going to win, and so there you go. But they had a really good match. It wasn't my favorite match. I thought Daniel Bryan, Batista, and Randy Orton was a much better match, but this is a good match. Roman continues to impress in his character. I just think it's time for him to lose the belt, because if he doesn't, he's starting to look supernatural, and it looks like no one's ever going to beat him type of thing, which I don't agree with that. But they had a nice match, and that was the ending. Reigns and Uso and Heyman posing on the ring as pyro went off. Not the finish people wanted, but that was night 2. I got to be honest with you. I thought night 2 was not as good as night 1. Night 1 was far better. And when we come back, I'm going to give my final thoughts. So, my final thoughts on WrestleMania 37. Not my favorite WrestleMania, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought this was much better than WrestleMania 36, which was just awful as far as I'm concerned. Just watching matches in an empty building was not fun to watch. 35 was pretty good. 37, 35 might be kind of in the same realm. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we haven't had a really great WrestleMania since 30 and 31. 30 and 31 have been the best shows. 32 is blasé. 33 had some moments. 34, well, we got Daniel Bryan back. That's about it. such a so 37 is somewhere around that area, but it doesn't beat 30 or 31 in my book. It's a good show, but the booking is just all over the place. I don't like the fact that they just don't know. They don't give the fans what they want. The fans wanted to see baby faces win here, and they didn't do it. They did it with the women. And they did the right thing with the women. Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair both winning. Smart move. That was great. Roman's still winning. No, when the fans are putting their head down in their lap, that's not what they want to see. Drew not winning, and I mean, did he tap out? Let me. I gotta make sure. I gotta make sure that I'm right about this. Did he tap out? Is that how it happened? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, here we are. Yeah, McIntyre passed out, and the ref called him, so he didn't tap out, but he passed out to the hurt line. That's not what people wanted. I just don't know. I just think WWE is headed in a downward spiral. They don't have what they need. People keep saying they don't have the guy. I don't know. I think AEW will be the first company that really succeeds as an ensemble cast. And it seems to be that's where we're going, and more of an ensemble cast with stars here and there, but not having this huge star that dominates the business. But that's my opinion. I thought WrestleMania was good, but wasn't great. I expected more I expected more, and I didn't get it. But overall, pretty good show. I liked a lot of the finishes, and I don't know. I expected more though. In the end, I thought they should have sent the fans home happy. Either Edge or Daniel Bryan win. You know, having Roman still be champion throughout all this. I mean, what? So we're building this up so he can lose to The Rock. Great, another guy who's already been built. They just have nobody. Who's after Roman Reigns? They don't know. They just have nothing ready. I'm so tired of WWE, but I thought WrestleMania 37 was much better than 36. 37 is not bad. And with that, I want to say thank you for listening. As always, you can find me at Justin Yachts, and I will see you next time on the DMF.